Hi guys, this is John Adamson, the Rehab Documentation Guru, and what I'm going to be sharing with you today is a blueprint for a solid analysis. This is actually related to some revisions I'm doing to my documentation boot camp, and this is in relationship to and in response to, I should say, things that have occurred in the denial and appeals world to help strengthen your analysis sections of your documentation to better support the medical necessity of your claims. So for those, I know most of my subscribers have already been through my course, and I appreciate that. And so what I'm giving you is my latest and greatest compilation of how to put together a solid analysis that helps answer the medical necessity of your claim. So for those of you that have attended my course in the past, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give a comment about what you think about this new format. And again, this is in response to denials that are happening right now to help better clarify why you're in on your case. And so anyway, here's a blueprint for a solid analysis. So the first thing you want to do is in your analysis, you are going to compare the functional deficits and the underlying impairments. And those of you that have been to my course have heard me talk about that. You also want to discuss the positive impacts that outside of therapy that's being made, and this is related to patient and caregiver reports. If you've been to my course, we talk about impact on burden of care, and so this is related to what I said there. Also, and this is more something that we're really trying to show in medical necessity these days, is talking about barriers to patient progress that the patient's facing. A barrier is anything that's going to slow them down or is going to maybe halt progress. Of course, if it halts progress, then do you need to keep them on therapy? And that would be a concern at that point. Now, related to number 3, are there any new underlying impairments going on? Show the impact of those things. If the patient has, let's say, a new onset of pain, does that new onset of pain impact their functional goals? How does it do so, and what are you going to do about it? And then number 5, you want to discuss the necessity of ongoing therapy services. And in this case, what you want to show is it'll be neither safe nor effective, and you might recognize those words from my course if you've been to it, to discharge the patient at the present time. And also, why is it necessary? Why is continued therapy reasonable and necessary? So you want to discuss that. And then lastly, very important, because Medicare wants to know how soon you can get the patient off caseload, why could a non-skilled person not take care of what's going on with the patient? Why does it take your special skills and knowledge? So this would be a blueprint for a solid analysis, and what I'm going to show you next is a starter phrase that will encapsulate these very points. So here's a skilled analysis starter phrase, something to think about using as a template for what you'll write in your analysis. The patient has demonstrated progress functionally in, so there's where you're going to put your functional deficit category, due to, and this is where you're going to put in your underlying impairments. And in this case, it's underlying impairments that have improved. So strength, balance, coordination, etc. Or you could be putting in things like things the patient has learned to compensate for, underlying impairments they've compensated for, or caregiver training. Another thing you could put in is like another environmental factor that's been changed for the patient so that they can better be functional in that environment. Okay, so that's the first part of the starter phrase. Patient caregiver has noted blank benefit as a result of therapy. So now you know what are they reporting? Oh, the patient's transferring better since you started working with them. The patient's swallowing better. You know, whatever that positive benefit, it helps demonstrate again that reasonableness of care. That's always good. Then you go on to say something like this: further analysis reveals. And so get into some nitty gritty to explain what's going on with the patient, something that a nurse reviewer will not understand inherently looking at just the objective data that you've given them. And then you could say something like this: barriers that impact the rate and extent of progress include. acute illness, a limited cognitive status of the patient, lack of available support in the home, whatever it might be, you want to talk about those barriers. But the other thing you want to do, and I don't have it right here, is if you have a barrier, document what are you going to do about it? What can you do within your scope of practice to take care of that barrier? Then you go on to say something like this: skilled therapy is still reasonable and necessary. You'll recognize those words. Do too. So talk about why they need to stay on therapy. And then to strengthen that point, you might want to say something like this: DC at this time is neither safe nor effective. Do too. So you want to, again, highlight why your skills are needed, why they're needed right now, why it's not a good idea to get them off caseload. You're trying to justify not only the care you've given, which is the first part of this phrase does do that, but you also want to justify why do they need to keep getting care under you. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. This is John Adamson, the Rehab Documentation Guru. Please like and subscribe, and please comment on these videos. And if you like this new starter phrase related stuff for analysis, let me know, especially if you've been to my course in the past. I greatly appreciate your feedback, and I know a lot of you have been to my courses. A lot of you are good documenters yourself. Well, of course, if you've been to my course, you're a good documenter. So anyway, thanks again. You all take care. Bye-bye.